Hello, this is the acid for Qobuz in Paris on a beautiful sunny summer day.
Bonjour.
Pushing on my pride, I want your touch, pressing on my heart. Tell me anymore.
Hello, I'm Ry.
I'm Adam Freeland.
I'm Steve Nalepa, and we are the acid.
Yeah, I think all of our influences make us who we are. Yeah, and bringing all of our attributes and energies towards this project is very much. It is a culmination of its parts. So the acid is made up of us, and we are made up of the acid. If that makes sense, we're a community of artists making for a singular reason.
There's a lot of artists we share in common in terms of our influences, so our influences aren't quite as disparate as you might think.
No, we wrote most of the record. The majority of the record was made in Los Angeles, where we all live. Adam had lived there before, so the California sunshine was a bonding factor. But
we have a lot of respect for each other as individuals and as artists. So trust and respect is the most important thing in a collaboration, I think, and us being able to trust each other as artists meant that democracy comes through inherent ability. Like, we choose to trust each other. It's not like every time something happened we had to have a democratic decision. We just, if somebody stood up and said that it was important, we trusted that, and so we followed it.
yeah, for the most part, we all agree on our decisions with the creative stuff, and there's times when someone feels very strongly, has a different opinion, and we really try to honor that and really take a look at it so that we can move to a space where it's all three voting yes. But sometimes it's tricky because you have to find that balance. So, but it's very democratic.
I don't like the democracy word personally. It's a bit like politics, but whatever it is, it's working.
Community, maybe more than democracy.
Got together. Steve and I had written music together before, and Ry and I met through a mutual friend, and we sort of all came in the studio. And the very first day we wrote "Animal," which is the first track on the album, and it was instant. This is something. There's certain little magic here, and so day two we wrote another track, and thanks, Steve. And so it was quite quickly clear that it was just working. It wasn't thought about, it wasn't a plan, we just did it and it felt good and we kept doing it.
I remember the first day because Ry and I met on the first day in the studio. Adam and I had a plan to get together, and Ry came over, and so that first day sort of set the tone for the entire rest of the time. Really, we connected, and it was very inspiring, and we just all decided that it was a procedure, a process that we enjoyed doing and gave a lot back to us, so we tried to keep doing it as much as possible. And well, yeah, when you have such a strong vocal, like Ry is an amazing singer, and every take pretty much is put it in the bank. It's great. It definitely informed the process of creating the album, where you don't need to add much more when you have such a great vocal. So that was part of what led to us leaving a lot of space on the record. There's a less is more approach of really keeping it very minimal and
just hinting at things, and I think what Steve said.
No, it is specific, but I think it was the sum of parts. We all came into this acknowledging each other, maybe as producers first, in a way. Like, we can all sit down and create and write and make that music. The vocal wasn't necessarily this prestigious, special thing to have. It was very much the whole thing was very intuitive in that sense. So we'd be building a track, And it wasn't trying to create a track so there was space for a vocal. It was, you know, lay two things in, and then I would just say, hey, let's get a microphone up, and I would start singing like this, maybe sitting in a corner or on a chair. And that was the vocal we ended up using because it felt good, you know. So it was very much about how the relationship of the music and the vocal came together. It wasn't about being sacred of one or the other, but the way that they moved together became the important thing.
Well, Animal was the song that we wrote originally, and the thing that was nice, we started with a recording of the guitar just on a phone, and you know, some various assorted bits, and there was just this tension that was there when it was just the sub bass and a really minimal drum part, and you know, we were all very interested in sort of exploring this sort of minimalism. There was a great Albert Einstein quote of, you know, you should use the least amount possible and nothing more, or you know, just keep it as simple as possible, but nothing less. And you know, you can minimize too far and then it doesn't have enough, but if you find that right balance. And so I think part of our process in the studio has been where to draw that line, where is that balance?
My background as a DJ, it's like DJing and cooking it's very similar processes. You know, it's about having good ingredients and knowing what's good. It's like having, you know, if you've got great records and you know where to place them. If you've got great records, you know where to place them. You know that you're going to create, and you've got a good sense of timing. Then that's how you create something great. And it felt the same with this. You know, we've got just strong ingredient like Ry songwriting and his voice, and as long as you choose each sound very tastefully, you don't need the best food. Is very simple, right? You don't need to throw loads of spices and stuff in to add flavor and texture. It's just a few simple, excellent quality ingredients is much more powerful than... It's so easy when you're in a studio, especially with all this technology we have now, to just throw ideas and ideas and ideas. And on my own, I can do that. But with the discipline of the three of us, it's like, no, we could quite quickly, it was like, this works, that works. It doesn't need, leave it. Less is more.
Good art is a very pure, fully realized idea. So even if it's minimal, it's still fully realized. I think maybe the defining element of what I've done in the different things I've been involved in is to work from the heart and work from the emotive sense of self and the spirit sense of self rather than the cerebral mindset. So people feel that it's not about necessarily the quality of the recording or how much stuff is going on, because you're feeling it on a heart level. And I think that's maybe the current for me and what I'm trying to share with anything. And especially I think the blend in the acid is beautiful to have these really defined pure sounds that we're creating and synthesizers and within kind of our drum setups and the tracks we're building, and then to come in over the top of that with this very, very strong sense of emotion and heart with the lyrics, with the performances, about just being incredibly raw and stripped, honest. That's maybe the definition. So it's not necessarily as much about it being minimal as about it being pure and raw.
Thank you. I mean, one of the things we really tried to do, you know, when we were translating what we'd created in the studio to how we would perform it, is make it as live as possible, yet really honor the sound of the album. And so there was some work, you know, and that's really, you know, we have very complementary skills. One of the things that have a lot of experience with is these technical things and helping artists set up their live performances and being the software. So this presented new challenges, which it was inspiring for me to work on things where, you know, how do we take this, you know, giant drone part and break it up into something that we can actually perform in a live manner, you know, because some of the tools that we use to make the record, they're just not things that you bring on the road with you, old synthesizers that, you know, they just, you know, and things like that. So it's figuring out ways around that. And, you know, with our other member, Jens, who plays drums in the live show, you know, having someone who's been a Berkeley-trained jazz drummer who's been playing drums for 20 years. I mean, he is an incredible musician and has impeccable timing. So it's, you know, that really allows us this freedom of, you know, you don't have to play back drum tracks from the computer, he can play these things live, and created a drum kit with the palette of sounds from each song. And yeah, it's still a young process, but I think that it's been created in such a way that it's really evolving, and I can see how just from the shows we've done, we're getting more comfortable performing together, and there's that freedom there. So
I mean, live should be live. It should be a human experience, not a computer experience. Computers are beautiful and wonderful instruments, but it's about learning how to use them as instruments, not relying on them, not leaning on them. And us creating this live allows us to express ourselves individually each night, so it's quite beautiful. And having a visual show that lives and breathes with us, and it's always changing and evolving. I think that's the beautiful element of this.
Treat it with the highest value. I mean, it's a big part of all of our lives, and I think it's all right. We're really passionate, and we all feel very committed and strong. This is our baby. Ry has other babies too, but saying the other day, it's not treating one with any more weight than the other. We all feel there's a certain magic with what we created, and we want to continue pursuing that. And it's just the fact that it's being so well received to this point gives us our intuition was it was working, but you can never really tell until you just go and do it. And it does seem to be, people seem to be excited, and the more excited other people get, the more excited we get, and it's sort of gathering some energy and feels good.
It's a nice feedback loop when we created this music to share, and this creative vision we had with each other. It was just a very inspiring process, and then now we're moving it into a new stage, taking it out to a room full of people as opposed to just the three of us, and it's quite nice.
I also think maybe it's important that we're all bringing our own experiences to this, but it's definitely taken its own identity and its own energy, and it's something that we are really wanting to share with the community and really wanting to get to people. And it's beautiful that we have all these avenues now to start exploring, sharing this process with our community, with people that want to come to shows and want to listen. And that for us is the gift, to be able to walk on stage and have a full room of people when we haven't even finished the kind of release of the record yet, or for us to go out and keep making the art we want to make and have a community that's responsive and wants to engage in that. It's a blessing, So I think we're in a lot of gratitude of both each other making the art we want to make and deciding to be very strong in our vision of what we want to make and very pure in that, and then for the community to respond and allow us to keep sharing that it's pretty special, man. It's always going to be different, but I think as long as I spoke before about honesty and a sense of rawness, and I think as long as you're being honest with the process, then the process dictates itself. The experience is leading you, and all of your intuitions and all of your experience is involved in this process, but it's very much about the process itself rather than this overthought concept of this is how I'm going to do it. With us, there's never been an idea of this is how we should do it, more than this is exciting and beautiful, let's explore it, and for me, Ry X is a very personal, raw thing, and it's about getting as far in as I can get, maybe, and it's beautiful to have a more explorative process where I'm still doing that with vocal takes, and I'm still doing that when I'm playing and producing, but then there's this beautiful mirrorship and exploration of like something I wouldn't have thought of ever being brought up, and it's like, yeah, I want that, let's go there, let's all move towards that. And I think it's the same for all of us, have a really heavy beat, and then the intuition might be to go heavy with a vocal, but then I walk up and I'm the most gentle I could be on a track like Creeper, and it's this beautiful balance of what is heavy and dark and what is light and romantic, maybe, and creepy and fucked up.
And also, personally, having spent a lot of time in the studio on my own and being a solo producer, artist producer, that what you can tend to noodle and go really obsess over details that you've got all the time in the world. You're not watching a clock. Whereas when the three of us create together this dynamic, and I think something about the Trinity is quite powerful, because if two of us say yep, then it's yep, and two of us say no, it's no. So there's not a lot of time for is it good, there's none of that sort of second guessing. It's like yes, no, boom, boom. So it's been very quick in the way we create, and that's for me really inspiring, because if I look back, all the best music I've made has been the stuff that I wrote really quickly. And so it's just that you haven't got time to think about it. It's just it feels good in that moment. Yes, go.
Yeah, I've traveled a lot, and I spend half my years in Berlin at the moment and half my years in California, and that's a beautiful balance for me. Personally, I think California gives me a space to make work and create work, and then at the moment Europe's been the sharing ground to go out and then share the work in Europe, which is a really beautiful, responsive community. Like coming to Paris and playing shows in France always opens my heart up, and playing last night with the Acid, I think we all feel this like love and reception. Prior to the need of industry or press too much, it's more about that connection. But California is more, for me personally, a place where I make the work, and a place which feels breeding ground, fertile ground to create maybe a neutral space. But it's also incredibly beautiful and conscious.
But there's something about the energy in LA. I mean, if you look at the history, I mean, it's a place where people go to make stuff happen. Be it in visual art, film, music, it's always had there's something about the expansiveness of the landscape and the weather and that I personally am really inspired by, and there's a certain energy there that's like, let's do this, let's make it happen. Whereas Britain has many qualities, but there's more of that's going to be a challenge. Where in America it's like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. And as a creative, that energy of like, and being around other creatives who are all sort of creating quite a whole community of friends there, all creating quite a high level of art, and it's really inspiring to be around that energy, because it's just like, let's do it. And I felt England is an amazing country, but it's more of a stagnant thing. So there is a certain, like the Impressionists taught about Paris for the light in Paris. There's something about an environment that does inspire the nature of the work. And LA, for me, it's got that certain thing for writing.
Yeah, there's a beautiful community in Los Angeles. There's a sense of support, and it almost feels like there's enough room for different lanes for everyone to have their own lane, whereas you go into some other places, and maybe that's the freeway analogy, but no, you do feel that in some places where it's a little bit more cutthroat or competitive, whereas in LA there's at least in the electronic music community, which and the friends that I know, there's a lot of people helping each other and sharing and kind of that kind of community we've seen through time in different places around the world have led to these sort of movements or these collectives of artists doing great work together, and with these guys and our group of friends, we feel very blessed. We've all been working very hard our whole lives of building a community, and you meet someone and you see the light in their eyes and you get really inspired by what they're doing, and you connect with them and you talk about these deeper issues, and we've all have done that in our own lives, and then collectively coming together and connecting those dots, it's a very magical process. And I think that was what really was hinted at that very first day in the studio, and it was just something that's like, I really want to honor this, because it doesn't happen every day, that kind of thing. And so when something like that does happen, you take note and you say, look, the creative muse is showing up here, and you honor that, and you respect that. And we kind of cleared our schedules and made that EP, and here we are on this beautiful sunny day in Paris talking to you.
Maybe there's three kinds. I think I'm both of those personally. I mean, often I really enjoy clearing my ears, and I live by the ocean, listening to the waves, and I live in Brighton. And listening to just sort of Indian ragas and just drones and more. But then other times I'm a music addict, so but sound is obviously sound is the thing, isn't it? I get just as much sound. It might sound a bit cheesy, but I get a lot of satisfaction from this blackbird I hear in my garden. It's this beautiful song, and like that's a certain musical magic that if I had the stereo on all the time I would miss. But it has a real beauty to it. So it's about the sensation of sound is something really.
And that was a big part of how we bonded, coming together, of sharing like the latest music inspiration, and you know, because we run in different circles, Ry comes across artists that I hadn't heard of yet, because he's, you know, been living here or there, and same with Adam and I. And you know, I teach as well, and I've worked with a lot of younger artists, and now I have a collective of friends, of producers, and you know, it's some of these younger guys have that time and bandwidth in their life. When you're 20, in your early 20s, you have time to really dig and obsessively. You don't have all these other things that come with, you know, as you get a little older. And so it's nice for me. They keep me in touch with like the latest things, and you know, and then we share them together. So yeah, I'm a complete 100% music. It's all I do is listen to music and make music, and you know, every chance I get. And I think that was what we bonded over. Was we didn't start this project to like, okay, we're gonna start a band. We just got, these two met, reconnected the night before they came over to my place, and started playing with an idea that that were inspired by, and they came over, and we just wanted to make something, and we made this song that we all felt really was a beautiful thing, and we decided, you know, that creative process is what I'm interested in, you know, that the joy of creating, and you know, I found like-minded you know, souls in these guys. So it's that mirror that Ry's talking about, you know. I don't think it would work if we weren't all passionate about music and
in our life journey to make music, you know. Of course we love music. That's why we're here. Art addict, heart addict, ocean addict, love addict. I'm an addict of many things. I miss parts of Australia, yeah, but you know, I miss the ocean there. I miss being by the sea in a very, very pure environmental space. But I also get fed living in cities at the moment, and fed as an artist in different ways, you know, by the cultures and communities in cities. So for now, this is my muse, but I do miss the sea, yeah. Yeah, I was listening to a lot of ragas, a lot of modern minimal composers. Yoshi Wada, you know, there's the more well-known Steve Reich, obviously Philip Glass, John Adams. There's lots of minimal modern composers. I also listen to some pretty good heavy German minimal techno and house from my community in Berlin, and then you know, I love to find little things. I found an artist the other day called Annika, which I just think is amazing, and you know, when you hear something and you go, oh, this is it, and then that lives with me for a long time, you know. And I love when things cross genres and bleed between different things, and it's not about, you can very much hear that they're not trying to make it for a purpose other than to service the need to make art, or in the Indian raga sense, to try and touch what God is, you know. It's a pretty special idea to play music for spirit rather than to play it for industry or, you know, acclaim. And I think that kind of music has been really inspiring to me. And also these limitless pieces that are an hour long, you know, these full journeys. So there's been a lot of different things influence me as an addict, and then it's nice to go to a club and listen to some heavy electro for a couple hours too, you know. It's balance.
Yeah, a lot of the references Ry just mentioned, we bonded over, and Ali Akbar Khan is a guy who's ragas I've enjoyed for years. It sort of set you up in the morning. But I personally, the record according to my playlist, the record I've listened to most in the last few months is the John Wizard's album. It's a band from South Africa. He's like, and it's really something quite unique. I could go into many, but I think that's been my most favourite most listened to record this year?
You know, one of the things that's been nice about this tour that we're on right now is that you know, the booking agents and promoters are being really thoughtful about the artists they're recommending to come and support and play with us. And actually, the stuff I've been listening to most is one of the artists they recommended for Berlin was this artist named Dream Koala. And then also we had William Arcane play with us in London, and last night Dorian and the Dawn Riders, and you know, these are just young guys that are doing really interesting work, and you know, performing without a computer on the stage, and singing and playing, and it's, you know, I had not heard of them before, so it's I appreciate the fact that the people that are being really thoughtful about this, and they're turning me on to stuff that I can't stop listening to.
Merci beaucoup, hein? Thanks.
Merci.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Push me